Chers auditeurs,
Dear listeners,
bonjour.
welcome to Comme d'Archi Podcast Season 5
Saison 5, dans le monde fascinant des architectes.
and in the architectural projects.
Je suis Anne-Charlotte Depondt, passionnée d'architecture et docteur des universités en histoire de l'archi.
I am one of the spokespersons of Anne-Charlotte, who is a PhD in architecture history.
Merci
Thank you
d'être avec moi aujourd'hui.
to be with us today.
Et
And
maintenant,
now,
lundi en français, place au talent.
and Wednesday, let's talk projects. In English, of course.
Bienvenue dans Comme d'Archi.
Dear listeners, hello and welcome to another Comme d'Archi. This is Ali on behalf of Anne-Charlotte. I'd like to share with you the summer she's put together, especially for you, our English-speaking audience. To round up the series of discussions at the end of the Europan 17 competition, Anne-Charlotte Depondt was invited to the Cité de l'Architecture in Paris, France, to moderate an interlude. The aim was to get feedback from Europan winners, some of whom have gone on to become members of the jury of this competition, for young and mainly European architects. Here's a summary of this shared moment. But first, who are these award winners who have come to speak as a part of this Europan Comme d'Archi partnership, aimed at clarifying the participants' perspectives on their own understanding of the projects? Entirely borderless, situated in countries foreign to them, in countries where they live as foreigners, or in their home country from abroad. Indeed, no team lacks creativity, and the competition offers numerous possibilities, including in the composition of the teams themselves. First, let's meet Nathanael PINARD, a member of the Carré Noir collective of architects. They won Europan 16 on a site in Limoges. Then, one of their projects received a special mention at Europan 17. For number 17, they competed on two sites, a French site in Florence and a Spanish site in Torrelavega. Indeed, some of the collective's former Erasmus roommates in Barcelona had already forged ties with Spain. John EDOM is an architect and anthropologist, and an international member of the Europan 17 jury. Although British, he is Mariam Shabani's partner in the Parisian agency New South. They have been candidates for Europan several times. Number 13 with a project currently under construction, number 14 where they were winners, and number 15. He is currently monitoring the construction site for this Europan 13 project, which dates back to 2015-2016. Yann HOULLARD represents the Maya collective of architects and urban planners, a Europan 17 winning project with Défendons les Palantins in France. Their unique feature is that two French members of the team, Yann and Marine, live and work in Spain. Béatriz SALADICH, architect and landscape designer, is originally from Barcelona. She was a member of the Europan 17 jury. Their Ulna Centripète project, designed as a team for Europan 16, received a special mention for the town of Ulna in France. She is professionally involved in France, Spain, and the UK. Charlotte Samson is a young architect who graduated just 3 years ago. She established her practice with a partner, Arthur Anstedler, at the Pile XP agency. They enjoy sharing their experiences as architects through videos. Their Europan journey began during the 16th edition. They have participated in 2 Europans. They lost in Rennes, but were runners-up in Graz. Elena Trojero, originally from Madrid and working in Paris, represents the Franco-Spanish team Bocamar. She is an architect. With her team, they won Europan 17 with the project The Seams of the Water, located in Spain. And finally, Anne-Charlotte, who had spent several years working on international private competitions in young architecture, the W Prize from the Wilmot Foundation and the KAC Prize from AS Architecture Studio, providing her with a unique vision and expertise. But then, what do these Europan candidates turned experts say? In Spain, Europan is seen as an opportunity to shine across Europe, which is why Spanish candidates like to apply beyond their borders. However, language can be a barrier. The common language is primarily French. Yet, the way of thinking differs between France and Spain. For example, answering the pivotal question of how to build cities in France can pose a challenge, but encountering different perspectives can be incredibly enriching. During the competition phase, there is a strong motivation. During the operational phase, things change. In Spain, the operational phase is effective, rooted in reality, technique, and regulation. However, local specificities, especially linguistic ones, can also be a barrier. In France, during the operational phase, there is a gap compared to Spain, due to a different approach to execution. The focus is on innovation and freedom of expression. Projecting the imagination onto reality is much more complex. The transformation rates are lower in France, but this allows for exploring new governance approaches. In Spain and Italy, innovation must be present, but pragmatism prevails. Europan Spain is directly under the Ministry of Mobility, ensuring that project frameworks are closely tied to the given themes. It's a matter of culture that is not easy to negotiate but not insurmountable. There is no superior system. It's about knowing how to position oneself according to different cultural contexts. Sometimes, the choice of site is made intuitively and naively. This was the case for the international Franco-Spanish team Bocomar. They desired a territorial scale with a beautiful location. Their multi-scale approach was developed independently of the operational aspects. This also depends on the pre-existence of political governance. In France, it can be changed, adapted in light of the project's intentiveness. Responding to the programmatic question is a priority with a tendency towards more architectural scale. Discussions with officials happen at territorial scales. In France, the complexity of sites and challenges can be very motivating. Sometimes the outcomes can be surprisingly good, thanks to taking a step back. Overall, fulfilling the brief is more challenging, but the richness of the sites greatly enriches the practice. It's important to understand and accept that the role of the architect varies by country. Certain professional terms or concepts are different. From one country to another, some concepts are not translatable because they do not exist. In Austria, the data is still different. There isn't necessarily a desire to secure commissions, and the context is less rooted in regulation. There is a concern for exemplarity, and projects are more poetic. To further the reflection in a global context marked by contentious tones, Europan could potentially convey a constructive idea. In the Arab world, for example, the competition could be adapted as their imaginative framework can be different. Exporting a competition model could bring different challenges. It would already be interesting to cross-reference existing topics so that Europan can provide enriching cross-perspective insights. Visibility for those dealing with the same topics can be very stimulating and meaningful. Opening up to the entire world carries the risk of diluting fundamental debates. Could this be an open door to a loss of meaning? The countries of Europe are almost at the same level of development. However, southern countries are not necessarily at the same stage of development, facing demographic pressure in accelerated time. In crisis-affected countries, any approach that smacks of neocolonialism must be avoided at all costs. Then the rules of the game would imply acting very differently, since local actors would be better positioned to act in resilience with their culture and knowledge of their territory. Nonetheless, defending a way of seeing the world might still be relevant in the future, where most likely we will live in a more connected manner. What a program. Dear listeners, thank you for listening. See you next week for a new episode of Comme d'Archi in English. Until then, take care of yourself. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening.
And thanks to the sound engineer who was collaborating with us today.
Don't forget to tune in to our previews on Instagram at Comme d'Archi Podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, don't hesitate to promote it by giving it 5 stars and a little comment on Apple Podcast or on your favorite podcast platform. And above all, subscribe to listen to all of our episodes for free. See you soon, and until then, take care of yourself.